Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, this is probably not going to be a very long reading. This will address some questions that folks in my chat have asked with regards to the challenges to Donald Trump on the 14th Amendment, Section 3. And this is the noises like Ken Paxton is making over in Texas. And that is, what prevents states like Florida or Texas from removing Biden from the ballot? Okay, so in an interview with CNN, Missouri Secretary of State John Ashcroft attempted to justify his ludicrous threat to have Joe Biden removed from the state's electoral ballot. During an interview with Boris Sanchez from CNN, Ashcroft was asked, what would be your justification for removing Joe Biden from the ballot in Missouri? Has he engaged in some kind of insurrection? Ashcroft answered, there have been some allegations that he's engaged in insurrection. And then Sanchez, the interviewer, said, how so? Prompting Ashcroft to demand that Sanchez stop interrupting him. Sanchez, the interviewer, countered back saying, you can't just say something like that, like, the president, if he's heard the president's committed insurrection, and this would be Joe Biden, and then not back it up. And then Ashcroft was saying, you interrupted me before I could back it up. Are you scared of the truth? Just deflection here. Ashcroft went on to say, quote, there have been only allegations, unquote, of insurrection against Biden. When pressed to specify exactly what he was talking about, Ashcroft cited statements from Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and from Ron DeSantis. And then the interviewer said, if you're going to make the claim, give me some specifics. Are you just going to cite the governor of Texas or Florida and not actually say what they're arguing? Do you know what they're arguing? And then Ashcroft pivoted to say, well, Colorado and Maine have moved to remove Trump, even though he's not been convicted of acts of insurrection. I will point out, the 14th Amendment does not say you need to be convicted. It just says you need to have engaged. Okay? So that's a nonsense argument. And the states which have chosen to remove Trump from the ballot did so under allegations that the former President Trump did the January 6th. Basically, that was it. He's just trying to come up with some hypothetical. Basically said if the Supreme Court doesn't overturn this, then secretaries of state will step in and ensure the new legal standard for Donald Trump also applies to Joe Biden. Okay, so long intro. Now, before I throw on this, I just want to talk with you all about this and lead you through the logic. The reason why Donald Trump is being held to this standard of engaging in insurrection, and you can even make the argument providing comfort to those engaged in insurrection, is that he gave that speech on the ellipse telling people to go down to the Capitol, fight like hell. He was a president, but it was a campaign speech, and he had already lost the election. And there's evidence that suggests that he wanted to go down to the Capitol and really spice things up. Furthermore, he's also made comments about wanting to pardon all the people convicted of insurrection and sedition. That seems to me to qualify under the providing aid and comfort to those who committed insurrection, right? By definition. If, let's say, Texas and Florida both decide to remove Joe Biden from the ballot. Let's say the secretaries of state get together and they're going to kick Joe Biden off the ballot, all right? First thing that's going to happen is there's going to be a lawsuit saying that that's not fair, that's not right, we're going to challenge it. Just like Trump challenged it. It will then go to a district court or superior court. It's going to go to a state court, and then the judge is going to rule on the facts. And they will likely stay the order to suspend removal of... it will stay the order to remove Biden from the ballot because it's going to be reviewed in court. At this point, the states need to bring their evidence that would indicate that Joe Biden is disqualified from the election. Either he wasn't born in the United States, he's not 35 years old or older, or he engaged in insurrection or provided aid and comfort. They will have to provide evidence to convince a judge that this happened. And for some reason, if they get the Eileen Cannon of judges and the judge agrees to it, it's then going to go to an appeals court or the state Supreme Court or both. And now you're going to have to get through both of those court systems with basically what we know is no evidence. You might be able to find a corrupt judge somewhere, but you're going to have a hard time finding a corrupt appellate court or a corrupt Supreme Court because they're not going to want to risk their reputations on that. And even if it gets through that, it still has to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. And, even then they're making the arguments why Donald Trump, after everything we saw on January 6th, may not have engaged in insurrection or whatever other reason they're going to come out for him. The proof to show that Biden was engaged in that is, 10,000, add one and make it 10,000 fold harder. It's just not possible because he didn't do it. And if our court system was that bad, well, we would deserve to have Trump as president again because this country would have been so corrupted. It would be corruption all the way to the core. We wouldn't have a country worth saving at that point. We'd have to fight and create a new one, but the current one wouldn't be worth saving. It would just be rotted out from the inside if we've lost the judiciary. All right, I'm just throwing that out there. There's no evidence. It won't make it through the court systems. This is all performative nonsense by the GOP. But let's look at the energy around, Ashcroft, secretaries of state like in Texas, in Florida, wanting to suspend Joe Biden. What's the energy around that? They got to come up with something. Election's coming, and it's interesting because Trump says how great his polls are. I don't know if these folks are believing those polls. And it's almost like, oh, crap. They kind of see the writing on the wall and where things are going here. And they want things back the way they were under the good old days of Donald Trump. And there's kind of a naivety that somehow they might be able to salvage this. Underneath is the Empress. To me, they're not looking in the best interest of the United States. They're looking in their own best interests, these secretaries of states. But underneath it, you have to look over the best interest of your state and of the country. And trying to kick Joe Biden off the ballot is not going to do that. So they're going to have a hard time again, it's one thing to have political rhetoric. It's another thing to actually follow through on it. It would be naive to follow through on it. In the past, we have the Ace of Wands. It's all this bully pulpit stuff. This is, DeSantis. This is Dan Patrick going out there. Yeah, we're going to kick Biden off. Yeah, get the MAGA base all riled up because it's going to be tit for tat. They did that to Trump. We're going to do that to Biden. And, they're talking the talk. They're probably exploring it to see if they can actually get away with it, but it's nonsense. Current situation, 8 of Coins. They might be working on it to see what they can get, but mostly it's just to raise money. We're going to, impeach Biden. We're going to kick Biden off the ballot. Send us money. It's a grift. It's just more of the same. It's backroom shenanigans. It's coordination between states that have MAGA governors and such, MAGA secretaries of state. Again, it's coordination, but it's also money related. They're trying to figure out a way to get Donald Trump back in office. The problem is their hands are tied. They don't have the facts. They could talk about having facts, but there's no there there. These are dark. This is darkness. This is, these are allegations, and innuendo, and conspiracy theories. There's no there there. There's nothing they can bring, and they're stuck. They can't bring a court case, much less defend it against. Hell, this Secretary of State faced a reporter, an interviewer on a TV show who just said the phrase, "How so?" and just totally sent him spinning off the track and into the bushes. Can you imagine if it was a judge or a prosecutor cross-examining you. Good luck. Outcome 4 of Swords. Yeah, all this talk, it's going away. It's going away. They're going to talk the talk, but there's no there. There's nothing there for them. They're going to run their mouths, and then they're going to shut up and go back to sleep. And, again, I still think that the Supreme Court's going to try and figure out some way to keep Donald Trump on all the ballots. I can't shake that feeling. But we'll see. But don't worry about Biden being kicked off of ballots in other states. It's not going to happen, okay? It just isn't going to happen. They can't do it. Well, I should say they could, but the probability of them doing it is so minuscule that it's effectively zero, okay? You have to have a corrupt judge, a corrupt appeals court, a corrupt Supreme Court, and a corrupt U.S. Supreme Court. And somehow the U.S. Supreme Court would then have to apply maybe a different standard to Trump versus Biden. And certainly, if they can get Trump off on it, and we'll find out if that happens or not in about a month's time. Don't worry. Just don't worry. We got this, okay? Thanks a lot for watching this video and supporting my channel. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.